Hello, listeners. Dustin here. Just want to let you guys know that we are taking a break from our normal upload to get some things situated on the recording side. We've had time off due to COVID. Now we have the holidays coming up. We've changed recording locations. We actually have new equipment. And that takes some getting used to, moving things around, making sure that the recording sounds okay, because, you know, when you change rooms, the sound completely changes. We just want to make sure that we're actually providing a consistent, high-quality product for you guys, and with the new microphones, with the new recording space we're going to be moving into, I predict that it's going to sound better than ever. We have a lot of exciting content coming, including our first phone call trivia with a patron. We appreciate you guys sticking around, listening to us, supporting us. If you're a patron, thank you so much. If not, we just appreciate you being there and tweeting at us, commenting on Facebook, anything, any interaction is very welcome. We love hearing from you guys. The emails, even corrections, we even love those. We'd like to make sure that what we're putting out is correct. Again, a million times over, thank you. We appreciate you. And we hope you enjoy WrestleMania 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Magnificent Silverdome, and welcome to WrestleMania 3!
And welcome to Last Mania Standing, the podcast where we review, relive, and rank every WrestleMania in history. As always, I'm Spencer.
I'm Aretha Franklin.
And then the Macho Man, yeah, dig it!
It's WrestleMania 3! We got through WrestleMania 1. Man, did we get through WrestleMania 2. Golly. But now, here we are, March 29th, 1987, from, as Vince McMahon told us, the Pontiac Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, which, you know, Detroit, Michigan, whatever. WrestleMania 3, bigger, better, badder.
Oh, yeah.
And it was.
It really was. Well, yes, it was.
But it wasn't badder than WrestleMania 2.
It wasn't badder. And actually, it wasn't that much bigger other than attendance.
Yeah, it was definitely attendance-wise bigger.
But it was bigger in that it wasn't bigger in that it had the same exact number of matches as WrestleMania 2.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it wasn't, and it was better in terms of attendance as well. You know, we talked about WrestleMania 2 and how there was a lot of empty seats, especially once it got to the third leg. But it was better because it was all in one building. That's definitely part of it.
No triple stream? TriCast?
Yeah, none of those. It was back to sort of business as usual, and definitely for me, what felt like the biggest Mania so far out of the three.
Yeah.
And it was so loud. I mean, you got 93,000 people in that building.
Yeah.
Debatably. Arguably.
No, it's not arguably at all. It's actually like common knowledge.
That it was actually 93,000?
No, they sold 78,000 tickets.
Oh.
Well, yeah, no.
It was loud.
It was very loud.
And it looked like there was a million people in there.
And I loved that. I'm not sure if it was like a glass ceiling or, I mean, there are plenty of glass ceilings involved with Vince McMahon. But I'm not sure if the Pontiac Silverdome had a glass ceiling or if it was just open. But I love that it was like during the day and then it slowly gets darker and darker.
No, it had a similar roof that you see like on the Hoosier Dome when we get to WrestleMania 7. I'm sorry, WrestleMania 8. And a similar roof that we'd seen in a couple of previous years. It's a covered roof, but it's like that weird like tent roof where like if it snows it might collapse.
One of those where if there was like a paraglider that was going for it, they'd accidentally just
Yes, they would just stop. Yeah.
I love the jazzy opening.
Oh, boy, it's jazzy.
We're back to sexy jazz music.
It's good. A little hot sax. It's really nice.
I love hot sax.
Yeah, if there's one thing I love, it's hot sax.
You know who else I love? Aretha Franklin.
The Queen!
Man. And listen, no pun intended, the respect that this crowd shows for Aretha Franklin is awesome.
It's really cool to see.
Yeah, so don't forget, so far, we've had Mean Gene sing the national anthem at WrestleMania 1. We had Ray Charles sing America the Beautiful at WrestleMania 2. And now, the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. Awesome.
It was beautiful.
And she crushes it.
Oh, absolutely. It was a stellar performance.
She crushed it so much, they brought her back 20 years later.
Yeah, they absolutely did. This is one of the iconic scenes that you see when they play all the WrestleMania packages because it's such a big deal. Aretha being there, she sounded amazing. The crowd loved it, and that's how you start the show. That's how Vince started. It was really, really cool.
And so the kind of next segment after America the Beautiful is you get the shot of the announce team.
Yeah, you absolutely do, and it's Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura.
Yep.
What the hell is Jesse Ventura wearing?
It's a hat.
It's a snake skin outfit with.
Don't think
about it too hard.
No, just hey, he did his thing.
He's the body.
We are joined throughout the night by a couple other commentators actually as well. One of them being Bob Uecker, who is Mr. Baseball, a ton of fun to listen to. He's just got a great personality for the microphone. And so we see him at a couple of WrestleManias, but definitely here. And then Mary Hart, who is apparently a host of Entertainment Tonight. But I'll tell you now, even before we get into the whole thing, she did a damn good job.
She really did. She did not go to the Susan St. John or the Kathy Lee Griffith School of... first off, she puts
Elvira.
Elvira did a good job. She put her headset on and she could hear.
Requirements for being successful at WrestleMania. Putting on the headset.
I don't hear you guys. I don't know.
What happens if you put the headset on me left, right in front of you there, Kathy? I'm sorry, what was that, Gorilla? Moving on, we're going to go talk about the 40-man battle royal between football players and wrestlers.
But Mary Hart, a more than serviceable job. I really enjoyed her, actually. I thought she was really very good. So you see Bob and Mary Hart there throughout the night. But... As we normally do when we get to these WrestleManias, you're looking for that big opening match, and is this the first time we have a tag team match to open up a WrestleMania?
I believe so.
Sure is.
We get Ace Cowboy Bob Orton.
Mm-hmm. No cast for Cowboy Bob.
No cast.
With the magnificent Morocco.
He's not average,
and he looks like $1 million bucks.
And they have Mr. Fuji
and
as
Mr.
their manager,
Fuji.
Which is always great
with
to
all
see.
of his ancient Chinese techniques.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much, Susan St. John.
St. James?
It was. I'm sorry, St. James.
Nah, it didn't matter. But yeah, they have opponents.
The Can-Am Connection.
Boy.
This is the first time we get to see Rick Martel.
We get Rick Martel looking particularly model-esque.
And
And Tim Zink. Who's that? Doesn't matter. Look at those hip tosses.
I think it was Tom Zink, actually. To further prove your point that it doesn't matter. Is it Tim?
I had it as Tim.
It might be Tom. Tim. Mr. Zink.
To further prove the point.
Yeah.
But no, I actually really like the Can-Am Connection. They really worked really well together. I mean, Rick Martel could wrestle a broomstick.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing at the beginning of this, apparently Jesse and Gorilla had not seen each other for a while.
Huh.
Because they immediately go in, oh, it's nice seeing you again. It's been too long. It's just like, wait, why is Jesse being nice to Gorilla? Like, what?
He just got back from filming Predator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh. That makes sense.
Which is funny. You'd think they would talk about that, but they don't. They don't. They do not mention once. It's like because he filmed Predator, and then later that year he filmed The Running Man, but they make no attempt to promote either one of those movies.
There's a ton of energy in the arena. I mean, it's big energy, big crowd. I mean, just like the entire feel is like, holy shit, something's about to go down.
Oh yeah, and like I said before, these four guys had surprisingly good chemistry. I was like, I've seen Bob Orton, I've seen Don Morocco, I've seen Martel. I'd never even heard of the other half of the Can-Am Connection, but like I said,
we didn't even try the Tim or Tom that time. We hit the other half.
Whoever he is, his hip tosses were beautiful.
Oh, and they were over.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
People loved it.
The crowd was ready to go, and this was a great tag team match.
It was a lot of fun. It was a short one, 5 minutes 37 seconds. Can-Am win by pinfall after Mr. Fuji, looking particularly Japanese, does not interfere very much. I was surprised.
Yeah, but there's a couple of things. Sorry, Landon. Morocco magnificently, of course, looks massive.
He
He
is.
looks freaking huge.
He's banging the roids there, isn't he?
And Martel and Morocco are in the ring together for a lot of this match, and they have phenomenal chemistry.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
fantastic. You know what we see in this match? A double monkey flip.
Yes.
That's awesome.
This is a lot of fun.
It was.
The camera work significantly improved over last year.
It makes me wonder if this is when Kevin Dunn joined the company. Because it was
Could be.
Because one of the things that we talked about at WrestleMania 2 was the production was
Terrible.
just poor, and a lot of that was because it was
Three different
locations, but it was subpar at best,
Yep.
and we can tell right off the bat here during this first match that really things have stepped up and the production's good, and it's keeping up really, really well with this fast-paced tag match.
Right, and it was fast-paced all the way through. There was a fast-paced finish with the drop kick getting the cowboy out of the ring, and I can't remember who it was. Maybe Martel tripped up Morocco into the schoolboy. It was a really good finish. I thought it was a solid tag
and
match.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And-
it was nice having a WrestleMania start without a dirty finish.
exactly. Yeah, because we had 2 in a row with bullshit endings of the first match.
Right,
yeah,
no
about
double
that.
count out. Awesome.
About that. We'll see how well that goes the rest of the night.
But right now we're 1 for 1, and that's about as far as they go. But
The next match is interesting. Billy Jack Haynes
It's pronounced Billy Jerk Haynes.
against Hercules Hernandez, along with
No longer Hernandez.
he dropped the
Just
Hernandez.
Hercules.
Okay, excuse me.
he dropped the Hernandez, picked up the chain.
And
Yes.
also picked up Bobby the Brain Heenan.
That's correct.
There's a video package build up for this match. Maybe it's not the first in WrestleMania history, but it's the first non-main event package, I believe, in WrestleMania history. And trust me, there are a lot of packages on this card. There is a backstage promo though after the package place, and it is a fantastic heel promo from Hernandez. I really enjoy. Excuse me, Hercules.
And don't you forget it.
He dropped Hernandez.
Yep, he's just Hercules now.
It was really good stuff.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it was an interesting build altogether to this match that you kind of learned throughout watching this video package, because it reminds me a lot of, if you fast forward 20 years, of Chris Masters and the Masters Lock and the Master Lock Challenge, because this is what it was. Billy Jack Haynes does this full Nelson, and Hercules does this full Nelson, and so they can't. The story is how are you gonna break out of the full Nelson, and that's what the build is into this match, and the crowd is going nuts for this full Nelson. So it's these two big guys trying to lock the full Nelson on each other, and it goes over 7.5 minutes.
Oh, I love that. There's 2 particular standout moments on commentary. Hard shots from 2 scary men. And these guys are both on Rubber Leg Street. Thank you, Ventura.
You know what's also super noteworthy about this match is, we didn't get this in the first match because the guys were already in the ring. But the second match, they enter on the miniature rings.
Yeah, the carts.
Yeah, the
Yes.
carts that look like the ring.
So I think the story here is the ramp was so long
It was
in the
very
Silver
long.
Dome that it would have been impossible for Andre the Giant to make it to and from the ring.
So that's what the cart was for. But they knew that if he's the only one on the cart, fans would see through it. So everybody gets the cart.
And I loved it.
Oh, it was fantastic. I wish they still did it. I love it a lot.
But it was during this match we noticed what the cart girls / ring girls were wearing.
Those would be the fedorettes.
The Federette, that's right. So basically, imagine wearing the pirate shirt from Seinfeld with a bright purple waistcoat. And that's it.
I think there's a Kristen Wiig SNL outfit that is
think
almost
so.
exactly the Federette costume.
First time we saw him, I believe
That's
it's
where she got her start.
you literally said, like, what the fuck is she wearing? I mean, what are you talking about? And then the next match comes, I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck is she wearing?
The
And
worst,
then I caught it the match after that, and I said, "What the fuck is she wearing?"
and then the match after that, they added a second one.
I'm like, I think I said they look like pirate strippers.
But it's a really interesting contest between these two guys. Something that Jesse the Body says. He says, much like a quarterback going out of bounds before getting hit, when he's talking about, talking about Hercules getting in and out of the ring. And it was interesting. It was an interesting little reference.
Yeah, it's very intelligent.
Yeah, it was a very smart play by the Body for sure.
I just love at one point when Hercules does lock in the full Nelson, he gets a handful of Billy Jack's hair. And I'm like, the full Nelson hair lock, as he is just grabbing his hair.
This is an extremely physical contest.
Oh, for sure.
Even before the bell rings, Dave Hebner has to try and separate these guys. Like, they're ready to go.
These are huge dudes. Like, you don't realize how big they are because they're both so massive until they're standing next to Dave Hebner, who's not a little person. Like, he's like your average size guy, and these two dwarf him.
The only issue really I have with this match is the end.
Are you referring to the multiple slow-mo chain shots which expose Billy Jack blading?
Oh, tried to forget about that. I was actually referring to the double countout.
Yeah, that was bullshit.
Yeah, we got one match. We got the opening tag match. That ended relatively clean. But then, at this point, WrestleMania does what WrestleMania does, and we get a double countout because Billy Jack Haynes has the full Nelson on Hercules on the outside and just keeps it on him.
But I'm sitting there going like, what are you doing? The referee's at 5. Why are you locking in a submission hold? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, and he gets to 10. And I'm like, if this happened now, the fans would riot.
Speaking of things that if they happen now, the fans would riot.
Oh, match number 3.
Things are not looking up. As a matter of fact, you'll probably have to look down to see some of these competitors.
Oh, boy. We got a 6-man tag. It's Hillbilly Jim versus
amazing.
King Kong Bundy,
who I forgot was in this WrestleMania.
which sounds like a solid match.
I think you're overlooking some of these competitors, Spencer.
You're right. And for that, I apologize because they have tag team partners, both of them. They both have tag team partners. Hillbilly Jim is accompanied by the Haiti Kid, the one who was actually in the corner of Mr. T during the boxing match at WrestleMania 2.
And then, what's the other guy's name again?
I almost just made a super inappropriate joke, but that would be a little beaver. And the word midget is tossed around the entire time
A lot.
during this match.
1987.
Yeah, it's very 1987.
32 years ago.
Bob Uecker's on commentary, and he just says some things that are not super great. But ultimately, the match ends because, who knows what happens. There's a disqualification. Hillbilly Jim does a cartwheel at one point. That's kind of fun.
I was going to say, I've written down like 4 things. Cartwheel by Hillbilly Jim, DQ. The match ends.
So there actually was some really good wrestling between the competitors of the match.
Yeah.
I was actually impressed by what they were doing, and I wish that it would have been taken seriously. I had no issues with the fact that these men were in the ring wrestling. I had no problem.
They were doing a very good job.
I had no problem with that. I enjoyed their match.
Because they were wrestling. It was good wrestling.
The actual problem comes with the way it's portrayed with the commentary team.
Yeah, I mean that's most of it because
they sandbag the whole match.
Yeah, they don't take it seriously. So there's no way you as a fan are going to take them seriously in the ring because it really had a chance because the guys were talented. It was talented.
I honestly
talented
believe if you take out Hillbilly Jim and King Kong Bundy and just gave those 4 like 5 minutes, it would have been a decent match. But instead, it's like, look at these short guys. They think they're wrestlers. I'm like, well, they're out wrestling the 2 big guys. So
it couldn't have possibly been any more forgettable than what it is now.
Pretty much.
I also don't understand the DQ.
I don't either.
So one of the competitors of the match attacks Bundy. Bundy hits him back and gets DQ.
DQ.
He hit a competitor of the match.
Well, I think is what it was is that it was almost like how we treat mixed tag matches right now,
right?
Where men have to wrestle men, women have to wrestle women, but in this instance, it was your little person had to wrestle a little person, and that's it. So I think that's where the disqualification comes from. The whole thing's ridiculous. Though.
It begs the question: why bother doing this?
Right. It went 3 minutes and 25 seconds.
If you're not going to take it seriously, why do it?
Yeah. 3 minutes, the whole segment with entrances is like under 5 minutes.
And it was 5 minutes too long.
You can give every other segment like another 30 seconds and nobody would complain.
But one thing I noticed during this match when I wasn't really paying attention to the match itself was that there was no stage. And so back then they didn't really have these big elaborate stages like we have now. and no stage allows for more seating.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just still, to this point, couldn't get over how many people they jam-packed in that place.
They did.
Oh yeah, it was quote unquote 93,000 people. It was a lot of people in reality, and it was really cool because you didn't have to have the stage because they didn't get a camera on the stars coming down to the ring until they were almost there because they were riding the cart. So there was plenty of space for people, and when they do the big shot from above, it's insane looking because they're everywhere, absolutely everywhere. But 3 matches in, that's 2 in a row already that ended in a non-finish, basically.
Speaking of non-finishes, the next match, which let's just say this next match is a little racy.
Speaking of 1987,
we have King Harley Race
with the Fabulous Moolah and Bobby Heenan
with their very colorful promos leading to this match against Junkyard Dog.
Junkyard Dog, who I still 3 WrestleManias in am saying that he was the most over.
Oh, he is.
Guy.
We've talked about it every time.
Him and Hogan get the loudest pops of the night.
It's amazing.
He's the most over guy there.
I love it. I love it so much, and it's just a shame that he didn't reach greater heights because of the time period he was in, because he deserved it. He was so over. And this match, what he gets saddled with is a loser must bow match.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about Bob Uecker and help me, Mary Hart were coming in to fill a commentary role just as an extra person on commentary. And Uecker was on the commentary desk for the previous match, but when Moolah comes out, he leaves. And I love how they do this. They transition him out. They don't just say, okay, bye, Bob. Bob's like, well, I'm going to go get with Moolah. And it's like he's like really playing a part here, and I appreciated it.
Yeah, and that's why Bob Uecker and Mary Hart are 2 of the better celebrities to ever have been involved with WrestleMania because of how well they play their roles. I completely agree with that. I think that it's subtle, but it's really fun.
Would you say that they know their role?
Well, they certainly didn't shut their mouth.
Thank you. I was waiting for somebody to set that one up.
I was trying to figure out how to spin it, but Landon did it very well.
It doesn't matter what their role is. I'm sorry. Okay.
Harley Race gets King music. And it is the King music.
Yes.
Yeah. In the music that Jerry the King Lawler comes out to now. And
it was not dubbed. That was what he walked out to in 87.
Which is crazy to think that they've had that music copyrighted for that long.
Right. They have some promos before they enter their match. If you want to go feel uncomfortable, feel free to go watch them. But Uecker leaves, like Landon said, and this match it's only 4 minutes and 22 seconds, and it's basically a Junkyard Dog trying to not get caught up in the numbers game.
Race misses a diving headbutt to the outside in this match.
Yep.
And it hurts my soul.
The bumps he takes in this match are scary because he was not a young man at this point.
No, not at all. But Junkyard Dog hits his patented, headbutt and Gorilla Monsoon.
What I love is because you're right. Harley Race misses diving headbutt on the outside, but he does the diving headbutt in the ring, and he's like, "Oh shit, that hurt!" Like, "Oh, that's right, Junkyard Dog headbutts don't affect him."
Yeah,
yep, that's his whole thing.
That's the thing.
And that makes for such an excellent pairing between these two because that's Harley Race's thing is to do the diving headbutt, but that doesn't work on Junkyard Dog.
No.
Mm-hmm. And that's why he struggles so much against him. But when JYD goes and does his headbutts while he's on his knees, his patented headbutts, right? Gorilla Monsoon says, "Junkyard Dog on all fours, his favorite position."
Ugh. They had fun.
Mm-hmm.
But Race does end up pinning Junkyard Dog, even though to me it looks like clearly Junkyard Dog kicked out.
Oh, he definitely kicked out.
So it was kind of a shit finish, and because of the loss, JYD must bow down and kneel to the King.
Like I said, though, that's 4 matches in, 3 straight fucked finishes.
But we do get Junkyard Dog crowning Harley Race with a chair.
Well, I love he curtsies to Moolah.
Oh, I love it.
And then he bows to Race, and then immediately, smashes him with the chair. And then he puts the robe on, and then goes down the ring car while wearing the cloak, waving to the fans like he's a king.
And
I love it.
It's a great ending picture for that segment. For all the weird stuff about it.
Anytime I talk about him, that's what you see. You see him wearing the robe, like doing his dance while everyone is on their feet cheering for him. So very racist build, questionable outcome, but the shot of him on that cart, like, yeah, there you go.
Love it. Yeah, totally love it. I just love seeing JYD. It's just a lot of fun. But match number 5, we're cruising right along, and we're on to what technically is our 3rd tag team match already.
Yeah, it really is.
Mm-hmm. And we've got the Dream Team, which is, of course, Brutus Beefcake and Greg Valentine, who has Johnny Valiant and Dino Bravo. Yeah. Which is super random.
Dino Bravo, who just walks up and starts speaking French.
Right, in their corner, versus the Rougeau brothers, Jacques and Raymond.
Yeah, Jacques, who actually going to become the Mountie.
Yeah, there you go. Little Paul trivia for you.
And Ray Rougeau, who went on to become Ray Rougeau.
Who's still the lead French commentator to this day.
Yep.
Son of a bitch. He is.
He sure is.
And he looks like $1 million too. He has not aged a day in like 32 years.
He just broke Spencer.
Yep. French
That's
team,
wild.
Ray Rougeau. That beautiful mustache.
That's him.
I did not ever make that connection. That is beautiful.
What I love about this match is Bobby the Brain Heenan jumps on commentary.
He does. And I was so distracted by that I didn't notice Beefcake's pants. What the fuck?
How did you not notice Beefcake's pants?
What pants? Is like he's like wearing floss at this point.
So Beefcake's pants are similar to what you would see. You know, I've seen Trish Stratus in pants that are very similar to these, where they're tights, but there's like little sections of it, larger than that, sections of it that are cut out.
Sheer.
They're sheer. Yeah, they're sheer. So you see through them.
You see a little bit more of Beefcake than you'd like.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's real weird.
And it would just go on to just keep getting worse. He would progressively wear less and less.
And the only thing worse than his attire might be this match. I was not a fan.
Well, it's another one that's not taken seriously, because really the only thing that you're kind of put in the direction to care about is Bobby Heenan on commentary, because he's talking about how he's 2-2 on the night so far, and you're really just looking back at the night with him so far about how he's been victorious, because it's building towards the main event, because he's going to be with Andre the Giant in the main event, and that's what they're doing. They're selling the main event during this contest.
Exactly.
And the Rougeau brothers, unfortunately, have all sorts of really good, awesome tag team moments.
They really do.
Some good double team moments, and it ends with another wonky finish, because Dino Bravo interferes, and the Dream Team wins due to interference.
But at least it's a pin. It's not like a DQ, no double count out, no blown finish. So I was like thinking, okay, bullshit, but at least they fucking pinned somebody.
Well, and something interesting happens after the bell. The Dream Team actually abandons Brutus. They leave him behind.
Yeah.
One thing
plays into the next match as sort of a spillover story.
There's one thing we didn't mention, because we all laughed our asses off when we watched it. At one point, Jacques Rougeau does what we all called the teabag. He literally does like a top rope. Like I think he was going for like a leg lariat, but he ends up just sitting on Beefcake's chest, and I'm like, teabag there by the Mountie. I don't know what else to call it.
Even though
diving Mountie.
Even though
he certainly mounted him with that move.
Moving right along.
Even though there was a pinfall in that matchup, that's 4 out of 5 that were dirty finishes or no contest or whatever it was. So we've had one match so far that was a clean finish. On to match number 6 now. Roddy Piper, who of course was in the main event of WrestleMania 1. He basically has a rematch in a boxing match with Mr. T the following year at WrestleMania 2. This year, it's billed as his farewell match. And he's going against gorgeous Adrian Adonis, who, for the love of God, I wish we didn't have to talk about. He's much better in this WrestleMania than he was in WrestleMania 2. So it made me feel much, much better.
Yeah, he's far less like... Somebody told him, hey, maybe tone down. I mean, I know it's like 30 years ago. We didn't have a lot of issues with this, but watching WrestleMania 2 felt extremely transphobic. So WrestleMania 3 was like, oh no, he's just wearing a little bit of makeup. Okay, that's a little better.
I love Roddy promos.
Oh, they're so good.
In this promo, there's no interviewer. They just gave him a mic, and that's the best. Just give Roddy a mic and go.
That's all he needs.
It's like a John Moxley promo.
Yeah.
It's just give him a mic, leave him alone, and he's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah, and further to kind of the point of how Piper is just sort of this enigma. He doesn't use the cart to get to the ring. He walks on down. He's like, I got it.
Oh, he walks,
I don't need it.
Some dickhead throws a beer at him in the middle of his entrance, and he is like just soaked, and he immediately just kind of like runs his fingers through his hair and like starts smiling, chewing gum, like, fuck you, I don't care.
Which is fine because it's a hair versus hair match.
It is.
And Adrian Adonis walks out with clipping shears.
We're talking like full on Brutus the Barber Beefcake hedge trimmers.
Oh yeah, they're hedge trimmers, but
Well,
they call them shears.
Well, at this point, they're not Brutus the Barber Beefcake shears, but that doesn't last for very long.
Oh no! And I just one thing about this match that did bug me a little bit. Was this a country whipping match?
There were no damn rules in this match, apparently.
Not a lot.
Adrian Adonis is accompanied to the ring by Jimmy Hart. And Jimmy Hart is basically another competitor in this match. And they use that belt, right? Like you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Like Adrian gets like whipped considerably. Like I think Piper's first bet of offense is to whip him with his belt.
Well, so we talked about Piper had announced that he was leaving WWF to go film a movie. So the crowd is showing their support for him. They're all kind of like, attire and signs saying, please don't go. But this is not Piper's final WrestleMania match. Not by a long shot.
Yeah.
One thing that Adonis does in this match that kind of blew my mind was he does the Flair turnbuckle spot.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
This is a large man
He's
to
a big
do
dude.
to do the Flair spot. It looked really good.
My favorite moment is at one point Piper just picks up Jimmy Hart and then throws him at Adrian. And the first thing that popped in my head was the "I'm gonna beat a motherfucker with another motherfucker" meme, because that's how he's holding him. Like
Eventually, we get to Adonis putting on his finisher, which is a sleeper, but they call it the Goodnight Irene. But in comes Brutus Beefcake.
Like, ooh, what's Brutus doing out here?
Yeah, Brutus Beefcake from last match after he gets left by Heenan and by Valiant and the gang, and he's back out the very next match to help Piper win by submission.
And when you know it, Piper locks in his own sleeper hold. Mm-hmm. Arm goes down 3 times, and then in a shocking moment, Adrian Adonis is being shaved by Brutus the Barber. Also, if your hair is wet and you have, for instance, if you have long, wet hair, if you're going to use clippers, put a fucking blade guard on them.
Ouch.
Is this where Brutus Beefcake gets the barber from this moment? Like, this is where it starts?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is where it starts. He gets a taste for cutting people's hair.
That's really interesting, isn't it?
But all I can really say about this match is, who could have known that Uncle Elmer was the weak link?
From WrestleMania 2.
Because that was like just the worst match I've ever seen in my life. And this match, I'm like, holy shit, Adrian Adonis. That was a fucking boss.
Yeah, he was. And, much improved Adonis in WrestleMania 3. Ultimately, 6 minutes and 33 seconds. Roddy Piper, in what was billed as his Pharaoh match, he was not going to lose. And he does it.
Wouldn't you know, somebody runs in the ring to congratulate Roddy. And Roddy's like, oh, yeah, thanks a lot. And then Roddy gets on the ring cart when they very careful how they shoot this. But you immediately see the security just rush the ring and pull this
That's
fan.
right.
There's
right.
the fan running.
Yeah, it wasn't just... Yeah, it was... Yeah, that definitely happened.
And I actually loved it because Piper handled it so well. He just shook the guy's hand and got out the ring and let security take care of the rest.
Well, the guy clearly he just wanted to give him
wanted to say,
he's like, oh my God, Piper, I love you so much. Oh shit, I'm being attacked by security now.
Oops.
Genius.
Yeah. So we're already 6 matches in. We're flying through it. WrestleMania 3, it helps because these matches are super short and they don't have definitive finishes. So we can just move on.
Yeah, pretty much. We're just kind of flying through.
But we actually have a definitive finish there, which is nice. Plenty of interference, plenty of weird stuff happening, but a clean finish, so to speak. But that brings us to the 7th match of the night. Dangerous Danny Davis with the Hart Foundation. So another 6-man tag versus the British Bulldogs and Tito Santana. Look at the guys in this match. This is awesome.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of talent, and then Danny Davis in this match.
Danny Davis making his debut after being suspended as a referee.
For life, plus 10 years.
That's right.
So what does he wear?
He wears his zebra, his black and white. Woo!
It's so good.
I really liked it.
I really did too. There was another matchup here that we hadn't talked about. Like you could talk about the Hart Foundation versus the Bulldogs. Tito Santana trying to get his revenge on quote unquote dangerous Danny Davis. But the real matchup that really stands out to me in this one is Matilda versus Jimmy Hart.
That's the best.
Yeah, Davey comes out with a dog. And, oi, get a Matilda! And he immediately hits
Matilda, I swear, Jimmy Hart must have had sausages in his pocket
She
because
ran right to him.
right to Jimmy.
and then immediately pulls his jacket off.
So pretty early on in this match, Brett gets dropped on his head by Tito.
Oh, yeah. Tito using his concussion-based offense here. Remember, we all looked like, oh, is Brett okay? And then he gets up and he's like, looks a little confused. And you're like, oh, he's fine. I'm like, Landon, there's blood coming out of his mouth.
But see, the best part, though, is you have all this is going on, and Bret Hart looks like he's about to meet his maker. And Gorilla is pushing the shit out of him. He's like,
oh, Bret Hart there. He's
Bret Hart's the most improved wrestler in the and he's like on
Meanwhile,
Dream Street.
Just blood. He's gurgling blood outside. Like, Bret Hart is going to be a long-time champion.
The worst part is that while that's happening, like while the three of us are sitting here watching it, I'm kind of defending it. I'm like, he could have just like bit his tongue something when he hit his head.
Blood.
Like, sure, he looks fine.
Walking to the wrong turnbuckle. He's fine.
It's good.
But we have sort of an Orange Cassidy-esque moment here with Danny. Danny gets tagged in, kicks his opponent twice, and then tags out.
Tags back.
The Anvil.
Yeah.
How stiff is Jim Neidhart in this one? And I'm talking about punches.
Yeah.
But seriously.
You are talking about the sausages in Jimmy Hart's pocket?
I'd say he's as stiff as the anvil they named him after.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, he hits hard in this one.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
Look at sausages in his pocket.
To be fair, he is wrestling the British Bulldogs, who are notoriously for being stiff. These men, like Mick Foley's first match with WWF was against the British Bulldogs, and he had to wire his jaw. He had to drink straws for like a month because they broke his jaw off of one move.
Man, the Hart Foundation were the tag champs at this point. But when you think about the great tag teams of the 80s and 90s, you think Hart Foundation and Bulldogs for a lot of it.
Oh, yeah.
So, you add Tito Santana is an awesome addition. Obviously, Danny Davis, I mean, whatever. But,
Whatever.
Generally speaking, these guys were not going to go out there and have a bad match.
Well, and I was extremely impressed with the jumping tombstone pile driver from Davy Boy.
Yeah, to Danny Davis.
To Danny Davis.
Ooh.
Followed up by the patented running power slam.
Oh, it was beautiful. I gotta say though, more on Brett being concussed. If you go back and you watch his segments with Dynamite Kid, it's all like, "Oh, you're concussed? Here's a few more headbutts for you, buddy." Oh, you're not good
How it
enough?
was done.
Here's a diving headbutt. Are you concussed yet? Oh, you're coughing up blood? Cough up some bile now. I hate your father, Brett. He always hated your brother, Owen.
But we get yet another dirty win with the megaphone hit from Davis.
Yep.
To Bret Hart.
Luckily, the tag belts were not on the line.
Yeah.
they were not.
Davis and the Hart Foundation win via pinfall in 8 minutes and 52 seconds. But, again, what was some really pretty solid action, a pretty fun storytelling, was kind of soiled with a weird finish. So that's unfortunate. But it brings us to our next match, number 8, which was a really interesting one because it's our very first. We have Butch Reed with Slick as his manager.
The natural Butch Reed.
That's right, the natural, against Coco Beware.
The Birdman.
How about that?
When it comes to Coco Beware, guys, drop kicks are the name of the game.
Guys, it's fun to see Coco.
So good.
Coco is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated guys from his time.
Yeah, and he's another one that's super over.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot going here.
No, it's 3 minutes and 39 seconds.
But would you believe that Coco Beware and the Honky Tonk Man both trained in the same barn?
Really? Mm-hmm. In the same barn.
Same barn.
They wrestled the same pig.
No, but according to Honky Tonk Man, they drank from the same trough as the pigs. And on record, Hall of Famer Honky Tonk Man once said in an interview, JBL may have the clothesline from hell, but Coco Beware had the drop kicks from hell.
Oh, man. They were good.
I believe that. I mean, as pretty as it gets.
They're beautiful.
There's a reason they call him the Birdman.
And
he can
painful.
fly.
Yeah.
Apparently those are some stiff drop kicks, too.
Butch Reed was a former football player.
Yes, he was.
Wow.
Former football player. And so it's cool. Hey, he's got Slick out there as his manager. And he actually gets the win over Coco Beware.
Well, by pulling the tights.
With the wedgie pin.
Yeah. Yeah, again, another dirty finish. But
5 out of 8. 5 out of 8 heels have won at WrestleMania 3 so far.
But Reed's going to try to attack Coco Beware after the match, and he gets saved by Tito Santana, who was just in the last match. So that's it's just interesting to me.
After this one, Butch Reed would actually go to WCW, and he actually won tag titles with Ron Simmons.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. So we're 8 matches in, and it's all felt very mediocre to me.
Yes.
But the meat of WrestleMania 3 is coming up.
Beef.
You mean the stuff in Jimmy's pockets?
Exactly.
The beef. Vince McMahon's beef comes in our next contest.
It's one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history.
It's a match that we've actually been recommended a lot for our podcast, for our main show, Last Match, and for good reason, because this is by far the best match on this card.
It is one of the matches that people think of when they think of WrestleMania. I mean, almost always. It is arguably one of the most classically great matches ever, and it's a great rivalry. It's Ricky the Dragon Steamboat with George the Animal Steel alongside of him against the Macho Man, Randy Savage, with Miss Elizabeth, and it is for the Intercontinental Championship.
The Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This
And
one,
I'm so glad it was for the Intercontinental Championship. I think matches like this one are what give the Intercontinental Championship the prestige that that we may sometimes forget
Yeah.
nowadays based on how they treat that chip.
well, there's a reason why it's called the workhorse title.
Yeah.
And them to go out there and do this, it really makes that belt matter more. But one thing about this match that I forgot about was the attempted murder build that we get.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting build. I think it's a really, really great story.
It's a great video package showing Savage crushing the larynx of the dragon.
Yeah.
And we actually get a little bit of a callback during the match to that.
Mm-hmm. But how are George the Animal Steel and Miss Elizabeth involved?
Well, George won't take his shirt off yet again, but he is smitten with Miss Elizabeth, and he's the neutralizer.
Yeah. So he's basically kind of evening the sides with Ricky Steamboat, but he is definitely. There's a sort of feeling, especially after there was a Saturday Night Main Event where George the Animal Steel basically kidnaps Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah, that was a little creepy.
Yeah, but George Steele was looked at as this lovable, like, oh, he just wants to take care of her. Oh, that's so sweet. But of course, Randy Savage is like out to kill him because of that.
Oh my god.
It's a match that's got all the story and all the character you could possibly want in the world. And during the promos before this match, Randy Savage is actually not part of it initially. Mary Hart is interviewing Miss Elizabeth about the contest and about Savage.
Savage comes in, complete and utter rage.
It was good stuff.
Like,
It was great.
Okay.
It was great. He basically blocks Miss Elizabeth from the camera and is like, I can't believe you're talking to her. This is about me.
Like, what you doing talking to Liz? You want to talk to the Macho Man? Yes, Macho Madness. Dragon Steamboat. I may have crushed the lyrics, but tonight, the Macho Man is going to retain the Intercontinental Heavyweight title. Break out!
And his entrance, I mean, only select stars had entrance music at this point. And Macho's music. Pomp and Circumstance.
Love it.
Who would have thought? Well, let's use Pomp and Circumstance. I mean, so good, so fitting for him. And I mean, I can't hear that song without thinking about it.
No, every time. Which makes
Every
graduation
I go to. Oh yeah. Man, I wish he would have spoken in my graduation.
Oh, could you imagine could you imagine a Randy Savage, commencement speech?
The gliss. What was your high school again? Oh no, what was your year?
2010.
The class of 2010. This is the Macho Man, Randy Savage. I just want to say I want to freak out because I'm proud of all of you.
God. Machismo. You are all the true macho men and women of the class 2010. Dig it!
I think it would have gone something exactly like that, actually.
Never do a Slim Jim.
Yeah.
Cup of coffee in high school, cup of coffee in college, and then cup of coffee in the big times.
And then Steamboat has kind of an over-the-top promo himself. He says, "The dragon will scorch your back." What does that mean?
And he has some very intense music when he comes to the ring.
Yeah, and he's saddled with George the Animal Steel, which is so interesting because those characters are not really very similar. But it is cool to see Steamboat have sort of this friend watching his back. But was something kind of playing off of the Savage and Elizabeth almost protection and Savage not wanting to have any of the spotlight taken away from him at this point. Very early on in the match, Elizabeth isn't exactly in Savage's corner. She's like on one of the other sides of the ring, and nothing was happening. That's just where she had walked to or whatever. And Savage makes it a point to get out of the ring and walk her all the way back
from George
to his corner, which I think is a great bit of storytelling.
Yeah, I love that.
It's like, well, Elizabeth, you need to get away from George Animal Steel. He's looking at you with that green tongue.
So I think it's Jesse the Body that says, Steamboat's got a lot of heart, but I'd say he's got a lot of throat. He recovered so quickly from that throat injury.
You ever gotten that compliment, Landon?
I do kind of have a lot of throat myself.
Paul?
No. But I'm gonna do another Macho Man quote. It's like he got a little of that, not a little bit, but a whole lot of little bit of that. It's a very obscure reference. Sorry, I had to do it.
Beautiful arm drags throughout. I mean, obviously
gorgeous.
you got Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in there. At one point,
It's like a two-handed choke. I'm like, whoa.
well, so I don't want to go into too much detail on this one because I have a feeling we might talk about this again. But Elizabeth, as always, looking extremely concerned. Every time they pan the camera over to Elizabeth, I mean, it looks like you need to go console her.
Oh, pretty much, yeah.
Which is what George Steele wants to do.
And this is like what I've dubbed like the fastest counterfest that I've seen up to this point anyway. Man, just counter after counter after counter. These men know each other.
Oh, these two had such excellent
They
chemistry.
did. They really did. Ricky skins the cat. It's beautiful. We get some throat-based offense by Savage as a callback to how this build started, and just the moment that everybody remembers because it is in every video package ever. When Randy goes up for the elbow, and there are 78,000 flash bulbs going off as he comes down. And I'm thinking, oh, that's how the match ends, right? Oh, no, there's no referee.
Yeah, Hebner got knocked down. So there is no ref at that point. So.
Right. So he decides to shove the timekeeper into the barricade spot.
Thank you.
And he gets the ring bell. And George ends up taking the bell from Savage, and he's all distracted. Dragon rolls him up for the win.
Small package.
Yeah. How about that? This match went 14 and a half minutes.
Nope. It's the longest match of the night.
14 and a half minutes. And, it was so good that you almost forget that the first 8 matches were not good. And match 9 more than delivers, and it's why you remember WrestleMania 3.
Oh, it's excellent.
It was really, really stupendous. And really, they kind of keep that momentum moving forward because the rest of the night is pretty good.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah. So moving on from that, I mean, hard to top that. Like, you're going to be in a tough spot following that. But they do it with Jake Roberts, who's got Alice Cooper, by the way, as his manager, against the Honky Tonk Man with Jimmy Hart. Because, by the way, it's not WrestleMania 3 unless Jimmy Hart or Bobby Heenan aren't your manager.
Pretty much.
He was bringing the sausage back out.
Right.
I guess he shook off Matilda in the back.
I guess that sounds appropriate. Out of the 12 matches, half of them on this card are either have someone or a team managed by either Jimmy Hart or Bobby Heenan.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is super interesting. But this match, Jake Roberts, Honky Tonk, again, it's a match that pits two definitely different characters against each other. It pits these two characters that are kind of polar opposites.
Well, you get a wrestler who is pretty much a character and like it's a gimmick and an entrance versus a pure wrestler.
Yeah.
How about Honky Tonk Man's promo?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, didn't need a manager. I was shocked when he came out with Jimmy Hart.
Because
I was like,
Jimmy.
he does not need a manager.
No.
This guy has it all.
He's
And
got his long sideburns and his hair slicked back. He's coming to your town in a pink Cadillac.
he's just a honky tonk man.
He's a honky tonk man.
He's just a honky tonk man.
He's cool.
He's cocky.
He's bad.
And he wins this match.
But no, seriously, I love Honky Tonk Man, and I love him in the opposite corner against Alice Cooper. You have rock and roll versus metal, right? It's just like it's a WrestleMania kind of feel.
Yep.
It's a good back and forth match. Jake does hit the barricade real hard on the outside. It kind of like I was concerned.
They actually do a slam to the floor too. Honky Tonk Man gets scoop slammed onto the floor.
You didn't really see a lot of
that looked like it
back
hurt.
then. Honky's in control for most of the match. What, you got a problem with me saying Honky? That's his name, damn it.
No problem at all on a card that features Harley Race and Junkyard Dog in a loser must bow match. By all means, say whatever you want.
Oh, God. Yeah, but no, that's literally what they called him.
Yeah, no, I know.
Which makes it worse. Jimmy grabs Jake's leg, and Honky Tonk rolls Jake up and grabs the rope for the win. So it's another heel finish, right? I've lost count at how many heels got wins in this one.
I think we're up to 8.
But we get some revenge with Damien.
Yeah. So yeah,
Alice Cooper comes in and he pulls Damien out and just throws it onto Jimmy Hart. He's like, he's been attacked by a dog.
Yeah, he must have still had the sausage in there.
Now he's been attacked by a snake, and he's always going out like, "That thing bit me. That's a snake bit me."
but for a 7-minute match with a dirty finish, some pretty solid action. Pretty solid action between
a very good match.
Two really good characters. So totally happy that this one was on the card.
Oh, yeah.
But then we go to our final tag team match of the night.
Well, before that, we do get Gene comes out. I would like to point out that we have set a new indoor attendance record. 78,201. Take up a round of applause.
It's kind of a really cool moment. But I mean, you were very used to that now, the coming out and announcing the attendance. But it was really cool. It felt kind of monumental, even watching it now.
It was just missing The Rock lighting his name on fire.
That's it.
Oh, man.
That's all we needed.
I wish I could have seen Gene Okerlund try and write his long-ass name on fire.
With a flamethrower.
Can you imagine Gene Okerlund with a flamethrower?
Yeah.
Put that cigarette out.
That's the best.
Oh, that's
Put
cool.
that cigarette out.
That's a callback.
Or else.
Jake's got the flea.
But you're right. We get our
yeah.
last tag match.
And would it be WrestleMania if we didn't get the Russian or Soviet national anthem? Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, with Slick, the manager, whose clothes, by the way, were ripped up by Coco Beware. I forgot to tell you.
They still are for this
They
one.
are still ripped up when he comes back to manage Sheik and Volkov.
Meanwhile, Bobby Heenan has changed like 3 different suits for every appearance.
Yeah, absolutely.
The ring is absolutely littered with trash.
The whole time during this match because
At some point in the night,
When
someone
Volkov-
decided it would be a great idea to throw trash, and then everyone else was just like, "Oh, what a novel idea!"
Oh, when Volkov started singing the national anthem, there was a few things thrown in there.
Yeah, and the ref makes little attempt to clear the ring.
There's trash in the ring the entire
Yeah,
match.
the whole match. But
Now-
they're facing the Killer Bees.
Dave Hebner does catch a piece of trash that's about to hit Volkov as he's singing. That was impressive.
It was impressive. But the Killer Bees, who are, of course, B. Brian Blair and Jim Brunzell.
Accompanied by Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
How about that?
We have some wonderful jiggle physics on Zangief. Volkov.
Jiggle.
There's beautiful jiggle physics on this one. Hacksaw does hit Sheik with the 2x4.
Yeah.
Why else is he there?
His 2x4 with the tiniest, most pathetic little American flag I've ever seen.
It's like a little American flag was like a miniature American flag was stapled to the 2x4.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so, DQ by Duggan, who's an idiot, and then cuts a promo. Oh, we're going to have a match where everybody follows the rules. What rules would those be, Jim?
The ones you just broke?
Yeah. USA, break the rules, then complain about it.
I mean, I would just like to say that even though this was really just a nothing match that lasted for 5 minutes and 44 seconds.
It was a pee break match.
It was. But what I really liked about it was Jim Brunzell, who I will never hear of again probably, had a really nice dropkick.
Did you know he once
beautiful.
released a hit single named Matlands?
Excuse me?
Was it a hit single? Mm-hmm. Or just a single?
No, hit single.
Wow.
Yeah, he got permission from Bruce Springsteen to sample the song Badlands and rewrote it as a wrestling match. It's called Matlands.
There is only one person on the planet I know that would know that information.
Oh, I learned that one from Boom Boom Colt Cabana.
No, there you go.
You know,
He had Jim Brunzell on The Art of Wrestling.
I
Fascinating
can't
listen.
imagine that is a hit. Sorry.
Maybe it is. Maybe
Apologies to all the
Maybe
fans.
that'll be our permanent intro music for this.
Did you
this show.
also know that Jim Brunzell and the Iron Sheik trained together at Vern Gagne's training camp?
Oh, well, that makes all the sense in the world because they're against each other here. I guess they Iron Sheik had something to do with them being on the card.
Maybe
You know
so.
who else was in that same training camp? Ric Flair.
Wow.
Wow. Yep, sure enough, in the barn.
Yeah. Are we back to the barn?
That's the second Barn story, isn't
Wrestling pigs, that's how they all learn.
Nah, listen, I mean, impressive.
And finally, we've made it to the end of the card.
Match 12, the main event.
And obviously, everyone, if you think about WrestleMania moments, this one comes to mind every time.
And most arguably, it comes to your mind first. It is probably the most played moment in WrestleMania history over and over again. It's the moment that casual fans think about. It's the moment that people that aren't fans know about. It's Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. Main event of WrestleMania 3.
And, so a lot of people don't mention how Bobby Heenan was there.
He was.
But
Yeah.
Bobby Heenan does so much for the wrestling industry as a whole, not to mention, WrestleMania 3 in particular. I just think it's worth noting that Bobby Heenan was a part of this really important match.
Yeah, and it gets left out a lot. But you know what I remember is Andre coming down to the ring in the little mini ring cart.
He did.
Alongside Bobby Heenan, who's wearing this magnificent suit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Glitter glam everywhere.
And they're completely covered in beer by the time they make it to the ring.
Yeah, because that's what's happening. Because
yeah.
Andre is the big heel in this match, and Heenan, of course, is. But they still look as important as could be.
Oh, yeah, but if we're going to talk about this match, there's one thing we talk about, and that is that Piper's Pit segment.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen it, 100 times.
So basically what happens is Andre the Giant receives a trophy for being undefeated for 15 years. Hulk Hogan is awarded a new WWF championship belt. And then Andre just kind of has his trophy, he puts it down, and he walks out. What's going on there? And then a couple weeks later, you have Hogan's back on Piper's Pit, and Jitcher says, I will produce Andre the Giant next week if you can produce the Hulkster, dude. Next week, Hulk's there. Bobby Heenan walks out. What's Bobby Heenan doing here? Here comes Andre the Giant. And Hulk's like, what are you doing here with him, Andre? I came here for one reason, and that's to challenge you for a wrestling match at the WrestleMania. And he's like, and you don't believe that? Believe this. And then Andre rips off the shirt and the crucifix.
Leaving Hogan bleeding on the chest.
Huge moment.
Which I think it's one of the biggest in wrestling history, period. But how about that just symbolism, whether it was intentional or not, but to leave the blood there when it's the crucifix that's stabbing Hogan when it gets ripped off of him. Amazing stuff.
Really good stuff.
Hogan cried.
The Hogan promo we get to during WrestleMania 3 before this match to hype it up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to beat me, you got to beat every little Hulkamaniac in the world. I mean, Hulk Hogan had it. I mean, say what you want about the man. Sure, the leg drop wasn't the most phenomenal move ever, but
He can barely walk because of it now.
he could cut a promo.
He really could. I'll give him that.
With as much energy as 1,000 burning suns.
And Heenan also delivers an excellent hype promo with an absolutely stoic Andre the Giant.
Yeah. Just stares the whole time.
It was terrifying.
Oh, yeah. Completely agree. That's a good way to put it, stoic, because that's what he was. And it just the kind of juxtaposition of Hulk Hogan with all the energy and all the, you're going to have to kill me to beat me. And then Andre just stone cold.
Oh, yeah. Like when they had their contract signing, like Hogan's like taking deep breaths, like Andre's just sitting there as calm and relaxed as ever.
It's really well done.
This WrestleMania will be your last. That's all he says.
And it's the biggest showdown in WrestleMania history up to this point. Obviously 3 WrestleManias in, and it really is ever. Probably.
Arguably, it's the biggest wrestling match of all time. Most important wrestling match of all time. Yeah. I mean, there are a handful of greats that happened prior to it that you could argue were a bigger deal, but you have somebody in there like Andre the Giant who has wrestled all around the world and is a huge attraction.
Oh yeah, well,
no pun intended.
Vince wanted to sell out the Silverdome. He sold it out with this match.
And it starts with the most epic of stare downs.
That stare down.
Ever.
Oh, man. And the crowd is like going berserk and they haven't done anything yet. They're just standing there. Hogan is like shaking and he's like, got that look in his eyes like, all right, I'm going to do this. And Andre is just like a statue, won't move. He's just staring at Hogan, staring past Hogan, staring through him like he's not even there.
The fun point is that this is the final time that Hulk wears that particular iteration of the WWF Championship. It would soon be replaced with the Winged Eagle belt.
Oh, which is so good.
Which is just changed my mind. Best belt they've ever produced.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. One of the really interesting things about this match in the onset is Andre dominates early, and he actually scoop slams Hogan. And Andre, who up to this point has been, like we've all said, just very calm and stoic, he releases some energy there, and he just screams for Hogan to get up.
Yeah, so Hogan goes for the slam really early on, and Andre just lands on him. And from that moment on, Andre works the back, and he is in control of pretty much the rest of the match for the most part. And he screams, oh! It's scary to watch. You didn't know what was going to happen to Hogan.
No, because Andre, that's a guy that when you look at him, because of how big he is, you have this kind of idea in your mind that he can't be controlled because he's so big, and so you really don't know what he's capable of.
We discussed that a little bit when we talked about the Body Slam Challenge WrestleMania 1, that about Big John Studd was terrified of Andre because Andre didn't like him, and I forget who once said it, but if Andre didn't like you, he let you know, and he would take liberties. And if he didn't, like Vince even said, like if the agreement was this was going to happen, and Hogan's even said this in interviews. He said so in the HBO documentary, which is fantastic. Watch. He's like, if Andre changed his mind and did not want to sell for me, there was nothing I could have done to stop him.
Right.
Because he's like, he's bigger than all of us. He was stronger than all of us, and he knew it.
I'm not sure if you guys may have noticed. There's a point where Andre has Hogan in the corner, and he looks right at the camera and winks.
He does.
Does he?
It's great.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, it's because he's in firm control, and it's kind of this play of confidence. A lot of people go in there and they see his size and they hear him speak, and the first thought is, oh, well, this is not a very intelligent man. Andre was a very intelligent man. And so he's in there and he's playing this monstrous, confident guy who's essentially at this point just toying with Hogan.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure whenever he gets him in the longest bear hug in WrestleMania history.
It's not that long.
It's really long.
It's long.
It's really long.
There was a longer bear hug by Volkov.
I'm pretty sure Hogan's arm does fall 3 times.
Oh, it
But
definitely does. But
the ref checks it a fourth time, and the match continues.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just kind of happens sometimes, and you tell yourself that I must not have I must have just not it must have not have been 3 times already. It must have only been 2. But yeah, that happens, and it's kind of a weird moment, especially looking back at it now. But it continues, and we get Andre getting knocked down for what is one of the first times.
Oh my gosh, the first time he dropped the big guy. We've
And
never seen Andre drop before.
That pop.
And Hogan has this look of, he's like, ooh, did I do that? And then he starts to Hulk up.
Oh, Hogan.
Yep, and he hits one of the most memorable spots of all time, and he scoop slams Andre the Giant.
He can't lands it, and then he hits the leg drop. 1, 2, 3. What I find fascinating about this is Hulk even said it. He had gone over this match with Andre on more than one occasion, and Andre's like, okay, boss. And that was it. He never got any feedback. So he went into this match thinking, like, is Andre going to do any of the stuff we talked about? Like, he was terrified. Like, what if Andre doesn't want to do the match? And he claims that they did everything that he had gone over with Andre, like, down to a T, everything. Like, he had it written down like DDP or Macho Man would do. They write out the entire match. Everything. Because whenever they're in the bear hug, at one point he talks about this, because at this point, he's like, oh man, Andre's he's going for everything. What if he changed his mind? He just goes, slam! What? Slam! And that's where he does the body slam. And he goes, leg drop! And Hogan does the leg drop. And when he pins him, he's like, you win, boss.
It's a phenomenal story.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But there's a more important story that we need to talk about. So it has been established on more than one occasion that Andre the Giant was undefeated for 15 years. That is not true.
I was wondering if you were going to bring this up.
He was undefeated in the World Wrestling Federation, which is actually partially untrue. Andre the Giant, now we have no idea how many matches he had won or lost, just because a lot of these matches were untelevised, but he had on television, etc. He had lost a pinfall loss to Kinect in 1984. He lost to Antonio Inoki in 1986. And he had 60-minute time limit draws with both Harley Race, who body slammed him, and Nick Bockwinkel. So that's at least 4 matches that we know of that he lost. And he also had a no contest boxing match against boxer Chuck Wepner, and then again with Muhammad Ali.
Wow. I'd love to have seen that.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think they're both on the network.
Oh, wow. Really?
Andre versus
And,
Ali.
I think so. I know. I believe you can watch the Wepner match. But these two actually feuded in '82 at the Showdown in Shea Stadium. But at that point, Andre was the hero and Hogan was the villain. And Hogan bodied him in that match too.
So,
But hey,
yeah, history is...
it's a more compelling story if he's never been beaten and he's never been body slammed before.
yeah,
And it is what it is. It is the most important wrestling match at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it remains one of the most iconic moments in WrestleMania history.
And to be fair, you'd only know about those other matches if you were a tape trader, because those were not on television. You had to be there to know about it. But now with the advent of the internet and YouTube, you can watch some of it. But in 1987, unless you were a smart fans were very, very rare back then. You didn't know about that stuff. So I'm not going to take any marks away from the match because of that, or the show in general. But it's just something that I thought we should talk about.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thanks for bringing it up. So, highest rated moments.
I got a strong feeling it's going to be a clean sweep on Savage Steamboat.
well, yeah, if we're doing highest rated match,
Yeah.
it is Savage Steamboat, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it is for me too.
But if we're doing highest rated segment, I gave the Open with Aretha Franklin a 10.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
A 10 out of 10.
Actually, that is, yeah, I gave it the same number that I gave the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship match.
Yeah, if you are, if just to kind of remind you, with the Last Mania standing as opposed to Last Match standing, we are giving our Manias and our segments a point value so that it is a scientifically proven way
100%.
yeah, all the way to rank these matches so that there's no debate. It's just an actual number. So we rate all of our matches on a scale from 0 to 10. But yeah, I would say Steamboat and Savage far and away the match of the night.
Oh,
Agreed.
yeah.
Yeah, so that brings us to lowest rated segment or match of the night.
King Kong Bundy and the short people.
Yeah, it's a tie for me. There's a lot of low scoring, like to the same point where they scored the same amount.
For me, it's that and then the Volkov.
That's one. The
Sheik match.
Volkov Sheik match is one, unfortunately, because I do love Iron Sheik. Also, I scored the Butch Reed Coco Beware match, kind of the same deal. There's just nothing going.
I actually scored the Harley Race Junkyard Dog match really, really low. That's my second lowest because of all of the background stuff that goes along with it.
I mean, I ended up giving that one a 3 because it wasn't a bad match. It just didn't, like, the build was really racist and fucked up, and then it had a fucked finish. But JYD got the last laugh.
Yeah, that makes it better.
Yeah, that kind of brought it up. That brought it up to a 3 for me.
But
too.
my thing was, I was not going to give that a lower score than the Sheik Volkov,
Right.
Or the little fucking beaver. No,
Agreed.
There's no way. It's kind of
So-
like last time how I refused to score anything below Adonis and Uncle Elmer.
Yeah, it was kind of that same shame score for sure. For Jim and Bundy, for me, I rated it a 1.5, which was my lowest of the night.
Oh, okay, yeah, 1.5.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I didn't realize we were going to do 0.5s.
Yeah, I decided on a whim.
All right. So before I jump over everybody, everyone named their best and worst because I try not to skip anyone this time.
Yeah, what was your point value for your lowest one there, Paul? And Lena? I don't know if you said your point value.
I gave that the
Jim and Bundy.
Jim
match?
and Bundy. I gave that one a 2.
Okay, Landon, what'd you give that one?
Jim and Bundy.
Yeah,
yeah, 2.
a 2. Yeah, okay.
The reason why I didn't give it a 1 is because for the fleeting moment of like Little Tokyo and the Haiti Kid, they actually wrestled.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is actually pretty good. And then the match just kind of ended. So they got that too, just for that alone. But just like you said earlier, if you're going to not take this seriously, then just don't do it.
All right, well, it's time to score this thing.
It is. It was going into it. It was going to be really, really interesting because generally speaking, when you listen back to people's thoughts about WrestleMania 3, it is far and away one of the best WrestleManias of all time. And it surely was better than 1 and 2. So did our ratings reflect that?
Yes.
Kind of.
Kind of.
My final rating was not much higher, but it was higher than 2.
Okay, what was your final rating, Paul?
So the way we scale this is we take all the segments and it's out of 10. So there were 14 notable segments, so it would have been your highest score would be 140, 140. I didn't even have to do any division this time because I came out to an even 70 out of 140s for a 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
Is that Paul's highest rated WrestleMania?
It is.
It is, in fact, not.
Oh, it's not?
WrestleMania 1, Paul scored a 5.27.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. So a 5 for WrestleMania 3. I gave it a 5.1 after all that.
Interesting.
Also, not my highest WrestleMania. WrestleMania 1 beat it because I think I tied Paul with a 5.27
I
as
believe
well.
you
Sure
did
did.
because we were both like, whoa.
Yeah.
Different numbers, but like we got to the same
So
result.
both over our WrestleMania 2s, but not as high as WrestleMania 1, which is super interesting.
So I'll trend that way as well. I scored it a 4.93, very close to you guys. It's crazy how close we scored this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got a 4.93, which is higher than my 3.71 I gave WrestleMania 2, but lower than the 5.55 I gave WrestleMania 1. So the final score for WrestleMania 3 turns out to be 15.03.
Wow. That is fascinating to me because it's looked back at being so good, and we just gave it a 50% just now.
Pretty much.
So where does that rank it so far?
So the way the ranking would shake out at that point is WrestleMania 2 is in third place at 11.21. WrestleMania 3 is in second place with 15.03, and WrestleMania 1 is currently the last Mania standing at 16.09.
Wow. Wow. What this tells me is that Steamboat and Savage and Hogan and Andre were the only two saving graces about this WrestleMania, really.
Pretty much.
Because the rest of it was not good.
There were some good moments, but there were so many bad.
Yeah, the good was great and the bad was terrible.
Yeah.
That was the curse of WrestleMania 3.
And so that's how you get 50%.
And WrestleMania 1 was just all around a better show.
Yeah.
It really was.
WrestleMania 2 dealt with a lot of difficulties throughout it that really hurt it, and the match quality didn't really help make up for it. The thing that helped boost WrestleMania 3 over WrestleMania 2 is the back end of the show really, really made it a ton better.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Those last 3 matches are much easier to digest than the first, 7. They're just, oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you have it. WrestleMania 3 currently second place, but WrestleMania 1 keeps the lead so far, which if you would have told me going into it that would have happened, I would have been very surprised. But here we are, 3 WrestleManias in. We cannot be more thankful for your support if you're listening to us in this Patreon exclusive. We cannot wait to cover WrestleMania 4. That one's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of matches.
A lot of matches. Do you know what's coming? Do you know what WrestleMania 4 is?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I think if we start watching now, we might finish it by next month when this episode drops.
It's been a fun ride. So we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, until then, I'm Spencer.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Landon.
And this is Last Mania Standing.